probably had a digital timeline which you wanted to implement for 2020. So how did that entire process change? What solutions maybe went into the back burner, and what new solutions were you adapting just to make sure that this year goes by smoothly?
And like you said, it was interesting because one was clearly it was a time to make the choices, right? Like what you planned for the beginning of the year, not necessarily that everything would have kind of materialized given the COVID situation. So I think clearly digitization was a very strategic agenda for us. What we have really looked or let's say put it into the next year bucket. Largely, some of the areas around classical hardware replacement, which we believe we can kind of manage a little bit more, stretch a little bit more. Looking at some packets of software, evaluations for internal platforms, which we said, okay, maybe that can go next year because some of the internal platforms can wait, in that sense. So that's how we've looked at. But to be honest, every digitization initiative that we've sought out to do, we have continued to invest in that even right through this year, actually.
Have you accelerated a few of these strategies as well?
That's right. That is right. In fact, one very interesting strategy we accelerated is one of our, like I said, benchmarking analytics business, where we actually, as I said, we acquired a company which was doing benchmark analytics in a different way. This company is called Greenwich Associates. Actually, we acquired this company in January, February of this year, and then COVID hit us. They used to do a benchmark analysis very differently. What they would do, they would actually look at benchmarks by doing open interviews with clients actually, and see the feedback and then provide the feedback back to the client. So it was an outside-in strategy. We had another unit, which is where the acquisition happened, called Coalition, which used to do benchmark inside out. What does it mean? We would actually sit within the client's premises and then talk to the client's internal stakeholders to connect benchmark data, financial data. So Greenwich used to be outside in. It used to look at clients. We used to look at clients' internal, ecosystem to collect data. Coalition would go and largely give presentations, basis the data that's collected. Greenwich would again go and give some presentation, but they also had a portal where client could log in. We said, why don't we accelerate and make it into a combined product? They could have a slice and dice in it, because what used to earlier happen was a simple PPT that used to go out. Now you are actually pushing that data into a sliceable, diceable format that client himself can play around. It's very different, right? And then we said, we are not going to stop here. The same digital portal can also give feeds to client CRM. You build an API layer and you start feeding that data to client so that client can consume it in his own ecosystem, right? So it's far more powerful. This is how we are looking at digitization. It's a clear, simple example. We could have just said, let's wait. Let's continue to work in the mode that we are working, so both units can continue to kind of give presentations, provide data through physical interaction or through email based. We said no. Let's just disrupt this whole business. Go for the full digitization, transformation. So very interesting example, and there are multiple.
Has this already been deployed, Ramesh? Have you already deployed this?
We are just in the middle. We would be coming out in September actually, because the product just started. It's actually gone into a second level testing right now.
Okay.
So we basically would be coming out in middle of September, when we will be showing this to the clients actually, and kind of start taking the feedback from them, Vignesh.
So this will be deployed as an API, is it?
It will be a digital portal, which will be cloud-based portal. Clients can come into the portal in three ways. One, they can log in. They can take out their PPTs, which they earlier used to get. They can also play around with data and dashboards, which is a classic slice and dice and some kind of dashboarding. Clients can also access this on the mobile. Okay. And from the same portal, the client can say, assume client has a CRM, Salesforce or a dynamic CRM. Client can say, provide me these 5 data points into my CRM so that I can consume from there and kind of work with the data. Why? Because benchmark data works like that. If it is provided inside a CRM, it's far more powerful, because when you're doing sales planning, you know what the market size are, and that data is sitting right into your CRM.
You mentioned about microservices, and I believe you have an innovation hub, which is one of your 3 basic pillars of technology that drives CRISIL. So apart from the product that you just mentioned, what other microservices based solutions are you looking to deploy?
What does this innovation hub do? See, when we started, one of the things, Vignesh, I found out was we were building monolithic applications across each of our BUs. Okay, so ratings want some application to build, we'll build that application. Research would want some application, we'll build that application. CRISIL, by the way, is a very internally intensive development shop. We do all of our technologies largely ourselves. Why? Because our addressable market for third-party players is not there. It's not like a bank where core banking can be sold to hundreds of banks, right? It's a smaller ecosystem. So obviously we had to do all of this technology building from the beginning on, and we were using some of the open source components, some of the core technologies to build it together. One of the things that I noticed is we were building this into monolithic way. So that's when we started thinking very strongly on microservices network, and that's why I mentioned in the initial stuff, we chose Java, Spring Boot, and Angular as the core foundation, because it alludes to a very nice ability to create microservices architecture. And then what we started doing is we started decoupling or building some fresh microservices components. So what we have done over last about 14 to 15 months, Vignesh, consciously built a fair bit of microservices components: workflow, rule engine, data mapping as service, visualization toolkit, screen builder, R Python executor. There are almost about 8 to 10 such microservices components that have been built. And what we today do is we don't build from scratch. So any new projects, we actually pick up these microservices components and stitch it together. So what we would have taken about 14, 15 months to build, we are actually now aiming to build in 4 to 5 months time.
What are some of the startups that you've gotten on board, and what was the idea behind that?
Microsoft incubation startup last year, which was very interesting, where we started looking at email as one form of a data point, right? A historical email where a lot of analysis and research data gets onto emails, and that's never plugged out. And that's an interesting source. So we worked in this company which is very focused on looking at emails, being able to interpret, take out the data, and also respond back to clients in some pre-formatted text, actually, so that the analyst doesn't have to do all the hard yard. So he would have picked up similar kind of email. We worked with another startup on the chatbot side for our HR processes. So all our HR processes are today getting automated, where employees don't have to really look at it. They want a 16A form, they want a salary statement, they want some policy understanding, leave policy understanding, could be entitlement policies. All of that has been put into a learning model, and a chat interface has been given. So the HR desk need not be manually trained; it's kind of automated. So that's another startup that we work with it. We also worked with the startup on the security side, like we didn't speak about. We actually worked last year with an interesting startup which looks at deception technologies. So when it mimics actually physical networks into a quasi mirage kind of network, and all of the threat patterns that come into it, they get caught in that deception network. And you're able to kind of identify.
Like
it is honeypot, but it's not basic honeypot. It actually mimics your network to the last level. Actually, that is the beauty of this system.